The Hungarian Grand Prix race showed us something we didn't think we'd see again after the 21 season. Max Verstappen got really upset and angry, and he started driving like he used to when his car wasn't the fastest. He crashed into Lewis Hamilton at turn 1 and almost knocked both of them out of the race. But now that Max's Red Bull car isn't the best car anymore, and the team really needs Max to drive super well, this might mean that the Dutch driver will go back to his aggressive racing style like before. It's pretty clear that Max's actions during the Hungarian Grand Prix were not okay at all. He got mad at his race team over the radio, and then he crashed into Hamilton near the end of the race. Max blamed Hamilton for the crash, saying Lewis hit his brakes while moving around. But even Christian Horner, who's Max's team boss and usually stays calm and supports his drivers, didn't defend Max this time. When Max complained that Hamilton might get in trouble with the race officials, Horner said on the radio, "I'm not even going to argue with the other teams on the radio, Max. We'll let the race stewards handle it. This is just childish behavior on the radio." Earlier in the race, something else happened too. On the first lap, Max thought he was ahead of Lando Norris when Norris pushed him off the track. When his team told him to give the position back to Norris so he wouldn't get a penalty that could hurt his race, Max got really mad and sarcastic. He said, "Oh, okay, so you can just push people off the track then. You can tell the racing officials that's how we're going to race for the whole race." Keep in mind, this is a 3-time world champion we're talking about. Max has been on the podium more than 100 times and has won 62 races in his career. All the crazy stuff he used to do between 2016 and 2021 seems to be coming back. Max will always get emotional, and there are definitely some good reasons why. For the first time in 3 years, he doesn't get to easily win races by 20 seconds and then make an extra pit stop just to get the fastest lap time. When you're winning by that much, there's nothing to be angry about because you're just lapping slower cars over and over. But Max seems to be forgetting really quickly that the same pit crew he's been blaming for bad strategy is the same crew that got him second place at Silverstone. Just 2 weeks ago, he was praising his strategy team for doing perfect pit stops. When talking about the strategy in Hungary, Max said, "It's pretty amazing how we let ourselves get passed by the undercut strategy and completely ruined my race." The thing Max just said should worry all the other drivers on the track, especially the ones who will race against him more often at the front, like Norris, Hamilton, Piastri, or maybe even Leclerc. The damage his car got from slamming his floor wasn't enough to make him quit the race or lose a lot of downforce, which he should be thankful for. But when Horner told him he should be checked by a medical person, because that's what always happens when a driver has a big crash, Max said in an angry voice, "Let them send that medical person to check on the race stewards to see if they're okay. I'm completely fine." You don't need to be super smart to understand that this is just childish behavior, but it also shows a pattern that should worry Red Bull too. Max usually doesn't act well when he lets his emotions bring out his worst behavior. For example, the 3-time world champion wasn't very good when he tried to defend against Hamilton in 2021, and most of the time, both of them ended their races early. This would have happened way more times if Hamilton hadn't backed down from fights. A similar thing happened in Austria this year, where Max didn't leave a nud-to-eh space for Norris, but wasn't as angry because he still finished 5th, while Norris had to quit the race. But when Norris tried to pass Max with a damaged car, Max blocked him even though Max had a flat tire and couldn't drive his car properly. This shows that these bad habits aren't going to go away quickly. This was one of the few times where Red Bull got outsmarted by Mercedes. For most of the first stint, it was Hamilton who managed to stay within 1 second of Max, which is why Mercedes decided to pit Hamilton first for an undercut strategy. This strategy seemed to work both times they did it. On the second pit stop, Max also had to catch up to Leclerc, who was doing really well on the medium tires. Even though Max got past the Monaco driver after chasing him for a few laps, He still finished behind him because of the crash with Hamilton at turn 1. During the third part of the race, Max pushed really hard on the medium tires to catch up to Leclerc as much as possible. Within just a few laps, the gap dropped from 6 seconds to 2 seconds. When Max got close enough to use DRS behind Leclerc, he got a pretty interesting message from his race engineer. The engineer said something like, "Take it easy." While the medium tires are faster than the hard tires that Hamilton had for his third set, they wear out faster. That's why the team wanted Max to take better care of his tires. But Max's response definitely made a lot of F1 fans angry, and probably everyone on his team too. He said, "No, don't give me that crap now. You guys gave me the terrible strategy, okay? I'm trying to save what's left, for God's sake." You probably noticed that many of those words Max said were bad words, and that Max went on a full angry rant on the radio. This is why people are asking if we're going to see the old angry version of Max back on the track, and that should worry the rest of the drivers. Again, in Austria we saw that Max kept moving around while braking, something that the racing office, Isles agreed should have been penalized much earlier and maybe could have prevented the accident. If Max had been penalized earlier, he wouldn't have done the same thing when the actual accident happened. A lot of things can be said when looking back, and the most important thing right now is that Max doesn't seem to be the best version of himself. This is mainly because he doesn't have the best car to drive. Even though he was, and still is, praised for how much speed he got out of the RB20 car week after week starting from Miami, it seems like the improvements made by teams like McLaren and Mercedes are just too much to handle. What's worth talking about is that in the last 2 races, we've had Mercedes and McLaren starting in the front row. And in the Hungarian Grand Prix, McLaren managed to finish first and second, even though they also had some problems between Norris and Piastri about who should have won the race. But still, the difference in the team championship is now very small, only 51 points ahead for Red Bull. While many people hoped that if anyone could save the season, it would be Max, that doesn't seem realistic anymore, at least not in the team championship. Even though his lead in the driver championship is still solid at 76 points, with better strategy from McLaren, it could have easily gone down to 69 points. In a competitive season like this, every point matters. If it wasn't for Red Bull being so dominant in the first 5 races and the mistakes that McLaren made at tracks like Canada and Silverstone, as well as the sprint races in China and Miami, it would have been a much more exciting season up to this point. Still, Max does seem like a wild card right now, and that could definitely go 2 ways for Red Bull. It would either bring out a version we haven't seen from him, one that was there in 2021 in terms of not giving up under pressure, or one that wouldn't care about threatening the racing officials with his words and would be a problem for everyone on the track. It would also be up to the racing officials to punish these behaviors, since both Max and Hamilton were called in for a talk after the race, even though Hamilton did nothing wrong in the Turn 1 incident. With all of this in mind, do you think Max's emotions will become too much to control? And what's even more important, do you think it will lead to him eventually leaving Red Bull after all the team drama and bad performance, as well as all the attention Mercedes has been giving him in the past few months? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.